Looking to lend a little hand this holiday season? Do your part in helping out those in need. You might want to consider getting involved on some level with Operation Secret Santa. Here's a quick overview. Formally kicking off on December 15th, Operation Secret Santa, that's hashtag OSS, is a world grassroots, strictly people-driven, Christmas charity, telethon-styled internet campaign. Referral marketing, or what's otherwise known as word of mouth, drives the project's big red sleigh, with all money, donations, and the like going directly to the needy who are selectively sponsored. The four main categories of participants we're looking for include 1. Live streaming web show hosts, speakers, producers, and performers. 2. Operator matchmaking elves, making their lists and checking them twice. 3. Secret Santa sponsors. And 4. People in any place around the world living in need, worthy of a little Christmas hand up. This year's organizers are presently working on mobilizing and building upon last year's preliminary success, with donation levels capped at a suggested price value limit of $1,000. If you've any further questions, be sure to drop by WPRPN.com or check out our groups on both Facebook and Minds.com via a keyword search of simply Operation Secret Santa, hashtag OSS.
Merry Christmas, everybody! Merry Christmas!
Welcome, everybody, friends, folks, foes, and fellow pirate mateys, to yet another live streaming edition of this year's Operation Secret Santa 2024, day 7 of our World Christmas Charity Outreach, Relief, and Awareness Campaign Extravaganza. As with years past, 2024 is scheduled 10-day. Telethon has a lot of moving parts, open-sourced and ad hoc. Live streaming affiliates, talent, and auction components will be featured front and center. I'm your host, as always, the Robin Hood's Chief Communications Officer, Jaffe Ryder. We encourage you, of course, to drop by and check out WPRPN.com. Operation Secret Santa. We have a link in place readily and quite easily available via the drop-down menu. So do take a look at that. Be sure to check out all of the links we have available via the show description end of things. And if you have any questions whatsoever, would like to sign up to the network or become more directly engaged in the campaign, Pirate One Radio at protonmail.com is the best way to do that. That's Pirate, the numeral 1 radio at protonmail.com. We're all ears, if you'll excuse the little elf pun, but that's in fact what we are here, among other things. Our budget is limited in what we can offer directly as far as PayPal, cash, or pirate doubloon stipends, but we still have a little bit set aside from this year's donations that we can redirect to people out there who have been selectively sponsored, duly vetted, and genuinely find themselves in need. So you can help people out in so many ways too. Let's not forget, it's not just all about the monetary end of things. Groceries, clothing, medical assistance where that's at all possible or advised in any capacity whatsoever. Of course, once again, ad hoc folks. That's what we're trying to emphasize here. Over the past 10 years, we've been working on refining and optimizing this magical Christmas solution-based elixir, and it's yours for the taking, to share, to pay forward basically, and help in promoting, spreading the news. Fellow live streamers can take note of what we're up to here and do the exact same thing. There's no reason they can't if they have the wherewithal and means. Just follow our template and format, as it were, layout. Be sure not to directly solicit any donations, but rather work to put people in contact with one another, the haves with the have-nots. So if you're a Secret Santa sponsor, you'll want to find someone in your community or through us that you can help out in whatever way that it is that they're best suited. So a lot more to be said regarding all of this, of course. It is not Secret Santa as well. It needs to be emphasized right off the top. Anything that you've heard about or familiar with respect to Secret Santa, the office-based gift exchange, drawing names from hats, forget about that. Completely throw that out the window. We've started from scratch, entirely revamped everything, broken the mold, as we like to say here, and completely, envisioned and ultimately, I would argue, revolutionized what can potentially be done with the power of these season Christmas-based campaigns. So, but it requires your input and your engagement on some level, even just passing links along, information to friends, family, and coworkers. So, speaking of friends, family, and coworkers, little Steven, Quentin Tarantino, not two of our intimate inside circle at this particular moment. I'm not so sure they ever will be, but I myself certainly appreciate and respect, little Steven's, the music that he's performed and recorded over the years, in many cases. Tarantino, yeah, not so much, but he's got to give credit where credit is due. So, but once again, friends, family, and coworkers, we got a few on board here in the form of Robert Morningstar via Manhattan, USA, Roger Hansen out of West Frankfort, Illinois, and Bruce Cornett, someone we've been working on connecting with here directly for some time, courtesy and thanks to Robert Morningstar. So it's been a while, Bruce. We're going to talk a lot of Christmas here this go round, and I'm not sure how long you can stay for. Robert has been running on all cylinders, so similarly, it may be a short visit via his end. We'll want him to unpack and deliver all the real essentials that he reckons the public best hear about. But welcome down to Skullport Harbor and the Robin Hood, Bruce. What state do you call home?
Now I call Texas my home. It was New Jersey years ago, and then it was in Nevada, and now it's Texas. El Paso.
El Paso.
Yes.
Is that now New Jersey? Was that where you and Robert met?
I think so. Yeah.
Back in the day.
Yes, we met first at Richard Hoagland's house in Hoboken. Then that's it.
How about that? So
back to Bruce.
Speaking of Hoboken and New Jersey, there's been a lot of activity there on that in the drone capacity of things, whatever these UAPs, or whether man-made or otherwise, actually,
or both.
yeah, whatever they happen to be. So I don't know if you like to get into that first or not, the two of you.
Definitely.
All right, and remember, we'll try to bring things back to the Christmas focus from time to time, but let's whatever's really most critical and pressing at the moment that you think people need to hear about. First Robert, I guess, and then back over to Bruce.
Well, let me ask Bruce to take the lead, because I want to find a video that I want to show that's going to support my thesis that this involves both real UFOs and drones to mask them up.
Mm-hmm.
But I've come to a conclusion as to where the spheres, where the orbs come from, and I believe they come from the moon. So I'm going to look for a piece of video that I hope to show that supports that theory. Okay?
Fine. Yeah, you do that. So, Bruce, have at it. The floor is yours.
Well, thank you very much. I am very interested in this drone phenomenon because it's so widespread, and it came unexpected. I had worked in New York back in 1990s to early 2000s on similar UAP that frequent the Wallkill River Valley and the Hudson Valley. And I published a book on Amazon called Unconventional Aerial Phenomena in the Hudson and Wallkill River Valley of New York, published in 2019. And it documents over 140 photographs and videos of these strange craft that now have spread out across North America. And but they're being occluded with orbs. And Robert is going to talk about the orb phenomenon. And I could easily call on Susan Johnson down in Miami, who is associated with that orb phenomenon, because she is in contact with her alien counterparts. And I saw a recent video, interestingly enough, that somebody was filming a bright orange orb, and a blue blinking orb came towards it, or a smaller light, and it slowed down and stopped right before it got to the orange orb, and then moved closer still, and it was shot down by the orange orb, and it fell straight out of the sky. And we haven't heard very much about that, but my friend in Miami, Susan Johnson, says that her contacts in space are going to shoot down these drones if they become a problem. And I don't know exactly what is going to transpire and why and who's behind it all, but one interesting thing I noticed that the several military bases, such as Wright-Patterson Air Force Base and Stewart International Air Force Base, were shut down briefly last week or two, and to public access. And the thought is that maybe they were taking a tally of who's who in the sky. So, hello, Sonia.
Oh, there she is.
Yeah. And thanks for dropping back into the fray here, Sonia. Hopefully, well, in a little better form than the other night. We'll see. It was all good times, whatever the case. But drones banned over New Jersey. You've heard of that now, have you not, Bruce?
Yes.
What does that mean? What are the implications there?
Well, that's basically telling the public that the military has been given the authority to shoot down drones that are flying over military bases, etc. And I would like to get some statistics on that to see if it's actually happening. The drones that I've seen in terms of videos come in various sizes and shapes, which is interesting. It almost looks like the drone owners have pulled out these aircraft from their own supplies and set them up in and around. And to notice, I don't think somebody's out there manufacturing them. These drones that we've been seeing have been around for a while. Question is, who sponsored them to go up and fly around? And in addition, one also has to take into consideration that the military may be using drones to track radioactive materials on the ground. There is some indication that some radioactive material, plutonium, escaped from and has been transported into the United States, somewhere in New Jersey. So that's one of the reasons why they're wanting to shoot down or outlaw any of these drones over New Jersey. I don't know.
That's right. So, you know, it's interesting. You could look at that from the standpoint of possibly that the narrative that has been fed into the mainstream regarding what you just presented is accurate, or, you know, because there are now apparently another reporting, whether it's mis or disinformation or accurate is anybody's guess. Higher, I guess you'd have to get out there with I'm not sure what you use to detect radioactive material with, but there's higher levels now, readings that people are presumably, from the reports, what they're telling us, picking up across New Jersey. Now, there's also, along these lines, there's talk of sprays, aerial sprays being released from the Jones, as if they're carrying some sort of payload of one type or another. Maybe that could be the reason why the authorities have asked that people do not shoot them down. If you follow what I'm getting at there, that they're armed and dangerous and potentially could lead to more harm than good if one was to blow one of these craft out of the air. Robert or Bruce, anyone care to comment?
I agree that they should not be shot down. But also, in my work between 1991 and 2003 in New York, I was able to distinguish two types of aerial craft. Mm-hmm. Many of them were triangles, others were saucers. They were also spheres, cubes, and other strange craft that most people reported back then. In fact, starting around 1980, when you had the huge craft over the Hudson Valley, and Hynek and Imbrogno got involved and wrote the book Night Siege, that they talk about these craft that were a mile in diameter or in length. And they would jump from one place to another, and then they disappeared. And we also have Mike Tratt doing some very interesting study on the technology of in aerospace technology that was had come up with a very large boomerang-shaped craft that was called the B2 prototype. It wasn't the actual B2 that came later, but we have pictures of it, and we know that it was flying over the Hudson Valley. And it's almost as if they were using it as a test to see how the public would react to it.
Isn't the B-2 a bomber?
Yes.
But how was it made to appear?
The prototype B2 is a little bit different in shape, and a group of us with MUFON went out to the Walker River Valley and set up on a farm in the farm fields, and we're looking for UAP that night. This was back in October 1997, and there was about 12 of us in that group, and lo and behold, this boomerang-shaped aircraft came in towards Stewart Airport, and we even had we were listening to the communication between the pilot of this aircraft and the tower, and so it validated that it was indeed an aircraft belonging to the military, and it turned out to be the same shape that Schratt showed in his talk of the prototype B2, and that's online on one of my web pages.
Schratt. What is his first name?
Michael Schratt.
Right. Yeah, he's a well-known personality within the field of ufology, as memory serves. Yes.
Yeah, he's very astute and very intelligent, and I was very happy that he came up with this, gave talks in Connecticut at a library on this, sponsored by Linda Zimmerman, and this was back in like 2016 when he gave that talk, and I was impressed with his connection, because we don't see any pictures of that B2 prototype except in the film, the videos that we captured that night, 1997, and the ones pictures of the so-called Westchester boomerang that have appeared and been captured on video and published look completely different from the B2. Doesn't look like a boomerang at all, which is very interesting, why it got that name. It's almost as if the government was wanting to have the public believe that this was military technology flying, and it wasn't UFOs.
Yeah, well, the whole thing, I mean, it has really a lot of people confused, including myself, as to what we are to clearly make of things. But Robert had a theory regarding this matter, as far as the multiple parties that are at play currently, as we see disclosure ramped up to a feverish pitch, is what it would appear. Before we get to him, though, potentially, if he's ready to join us, let's give a shout out. Okay, well, let's just give a quick shout out to Sons and Daughters of Liberty, along with Gaming with Infamous in the chat end of things. Good to see Roger over there as well, and on D Live holding down the fort. Sonia Galactic, Karma Love, active in the YouTube chat. Martin Taylor out of the UK. Hey, great to be hearing from you again, Martin. You know, he's someone who had struggled and I guess to some extent still is dealing with certain cancer issues. So everyone, if they could, direct their prayers, positive thoughts, and energy toward Martin Taylor, our good friend and fellow pirate matey via the UK. He's been a supporter of our content here for a number of years. So looks like that's about all we see at present. A whole number of lurkers, and encourage lurkers to sign in. Let's not forget, please do. Sonia Galactic and Karma Love having recently connected with us here. Before we get to them, let's hear from Robert, and then we'll kind of shift things over to the ladies and see what they've got to contribute regarding these matters, and hopefully even a few of our campaign details. Go ahead, Robert.
First, Merry Christmas to everybody, and Happy Solstice. It's going to be at 4:19 a.m. Eastern Time on the 21st, which is a couple of hours from now.
Yeah.
And I have to tell you, I'm feeling the effects of this transition physically. There's a sense of great calm that I sense right now. Very calm and quiet time right here in New York, although we may hear sirens in a moment. I want to talk about the drones and the UFOs and the multi-layered deception that I see going on. I've come to the conclusion that there's, as I said, it's like a layer cake. All of these things are happening simultaneously. And one of them is, excuse me, I'm sorry, I'm on the air. I can't speak right now.
Was that was it? That wasn't the FBI or Washington Post, was it?
I don't know who it was. I just that's what I have to say. But right. Sorry for the interruption.
That's okay.
This drone, the overlay, is military exercise, military drill. The drill involves a wide area deployment of a drone defense system. It's testing the military bases, at the same time defending them. And in New Jersey and in our region here in the East, there is a great concern because it's now widely reported that nuclear material was lost in shipping December 2nd in New Jersey. So that's another one. They're using it, they're deploying it. Now they're doing a real world exercise or drill to see if they can locate areas of high radiation. They're making up stories, folks. I mean, New York here, it's just perfectly normal, but they're sensationalizing it. Out in the UK, Daily Mail said there are 175 counts per minute in the local area here in New York. Well, we live in a radioactive world, and there's something called background radiation, and that also fluctuates along with solar weather, plasma streams from the sun, electrical discharges of the Schumann resonance. There are 50 million lightning strikes every day that cause the Schumann resonance. So we're immersed in this stuff. But I want to say that I had an insight when I heard the air traffic control audio from Wright-Patterson Air Force Base closing the base. I was convinced from the tone of the air traffic controller or the tower operator who was releasing the last aircraft to leave from this area that they call Delta. He said, "You're cleared to depart, and as soon as you're clear, we're going to sanitize Delta." And that means to me that that was when the full exercise was going to come on, using drones to attack and using drones to defend. But in New Jersey, it's a real world exercise. And there are very strange orb phenomena. That's what I want to talk about. They have drones of all kinds. They have drones that look like airplanes, drones that look like helicopters, drones that look like stroboscopic displays. And there are drones that look like orbs. And those are the ones that concern me, because I have been observing orbs around New York City that have come and approached my position, my location, 9 times at least over the last few years. A couple of times I've gotten them on video. And it finally dawned on me that the drones, the orbs, may originate on the moon, because we have found some video. I can't show it tonight, but I can show you a facsimile of this type of craft. And the drones are orbs. They are perfect spheres. When I saw some of them that came close by, within 100 feet of me, I thought of a white pearl. And I saw it go across a flagpole at my observation point here in Riverside Drive, and then climb up to meet another one that was hovering over the river. My friend saw it first behind me. We turned around, and here comes this white pearl, about 20 feet in diameter, floating over the trees against the wind, came past us, then climbed up slowly to meet another one that was about 800 feet above the center of the Hudson River. And then the two of them departed very slowly, climbing up at a 45-degree angle into clouds, low-hanging clouds. So they're around, they're all around, they're always around. But I'm going to show you a facsimile of the closest encounter that I had, which was June 1st of 2019. My friend was with me. Tai Chi class is usually where these things arrive. And I heard an airplane go overhead, a jet with a roar, real low altitude. I looked up and I saw it was going to LaGuardia. But when I looked up, my peripheral vision picked up something that emerged from behind the tree. And when it emerged fully into the street, it looked like this. Imagine seeing this between buildings. I'm going to back it up a little bit. It really is ephemeral. Anyway, it was a sphere. I'm trying to depict here a sphere, metallic ball. And this sphere just hovered silently over the street between a building and a smaller building, about the level, second story level. Then it rose up slowly, slowly, slowly. And it kept going. It got above a 12-story building, about 100 feet above. And then it rotated. When it rotated, I expected it to stay a ball. It got a shimmer around it when it got into the sunlight, and a strange halo appeared around it. Then it rotated. I expected it to turn into a ball, or stay a ball. And then it started to fly very slowly, horizontally, oscillating back and forth as it flew, as if waving to me. And I had called my friend, and she was watching. And so I looked up at it, and it was waving like an airplane rocking its wings. And it was as if saying to me, "Happy flying, Robert." I actually heard that thought, the expression of the feeling that was going on. So the point is, they've been here for a long time, and I've deduced that these craft came from the moon, or come from the moon, to keep us on the range, because we attacked the moon. When Apollo went to the moon, that was an Earth invasion of the moon, but we did things with our scientific experiments which could be easily interpreted as acts of war. For example, sounding for underground hollows in the moon. It seems that the lunar governing authority lives underground on the moon, sublurane. On Earth, we say subterranean, so on the moon, since it's called lurane instead of terrain, subluranian hollows may be where these the denizens of the moon reside. So crashing the rockets, well, I don't know if people know about this, but after the ascent of the spacecraft back to meet with the command module, the lift spacecraft was jettisoned and then turned around and crashed into the moon, where we had left seismic devices to measure moonquakes, which we were creating. So it seems to me that the denizens of the moon may have looked upon that and those acts as acts of war. And actually, on Apollo 17, one of these orbs approached very close to the landing site where cameras were set up, and the astronauts had been taking film of these orbs orbiting their station and coming closer and closer. And there is one video of one coming right up on top of them and spraying the ground with energy that made it look like 50 caliber bullets hitting sand. You don't see any projectile, but this craft came over and pushed the astronauts back. And that was the message: Yankee, go home, don't come back. And that's why we haven't gone back to the moon. But my friend Alan and I have located a partial strip of this video. The entire video is amazing, but only with this one strip or one slide, we'd be able to show that those orbs were at the Apollo landing site, very low to the ground, so low that they cast a shadow on the surface. So that's what I think is really going on. We are being corralled by the Lunar Governing Authority. We are being kept in our place. That's why the space shuttle never went higher than 300 miles. If I had been in charge of the space shuttle program, I probably would have been loading up every space shuttle with 4 landers and deploying them over the moon and coming back, and we would have had a colony on the moon. I always ask myself, we built these space shuttles, which are magnificent spaceships, capable of going to the moon and back very easily. Adapting those to for translunar travel would have been so easy, but we didn't do it. You know, we just hung around 20 years, Earth orbit, create the space station. So we have to stay local yokels, and the orbs are enforcing a perimeter on us. That's what I believe. So back to you.
Oh, that's quite intriguing. And just the one brief point that I will add to what you laid out is simply let's not forget the space shuttle program ran countless secret missions. They announced to the public, oh, by the way, this is a secret mission. At least they went that far. So what these secret missions entailed, of course, is anybody's guess.
Yeah. Well, you know, just to give you an example of the institutionalized secrecy and institutionalized deception, the Air Force has an unmanned shuttle. It looks like a baby space shuttle, but no human occupants. And they launched it. The first time they launched it, it's called the X-35B. They launched it, and they said they lost it. And they don't know where it went. And, you know, it's like, gee, you know, well, we can't figure it out. We lost communication with it, and we don't know where it is. And then a year and a half later, I go, oh, we got the XB-35 back, and it was a successful mission. They went out way out into outer space, maybe out beyond Jupiter, made a tour, came back, collected information. They said it was a success, and they landed it. Automatically landed it at Vandenberg Air Force Base, and they had lost it for a year. So you can't believe anything the government tells us.
Right.
I mean, this government has ruled by deception. It hasn't governed. It has ruled by deception since November 23rd, 1963.
How do you think Trump did in his first term, and do you think that he will govern similar manner this go round, or will it be even better?
I think it's going to be even better because now he knows the ropes, and he's already started. You know, he has started. The reason that there's a ban of drones over New Jersey is that he said the government knows what's going on, but they want to keep the people in suspense. They should either be transparent or shoot them down.
Mm-hmm.
So I think people are already listening to him and understanding that he's the president and that nothing's going to stop him from becoming being inaugurated.
Yeah, well, other than maybe a staged false alien invasion, as per what Wernher von Braun stated would be the case.
I would worry more about a dirty nuke, which is the scenario they had. They downloaded this meme into our heads back in 2003. I had to wait till 2013, 14 to get it. But there's a film called The Sum of All Fears about the planting of a nuclear device in the city of Baltimore. And Jack Ryan, the famous protagonist in the Tom Clancy movie, has to figure out who's planted it and if they can stop it. And, you know, hate to be a spoiler, but they don't stop it. And they depict a nuclear explosion in the city of Baltimore and expose a plan of the New World Order to do this and blame it on Russia.
Right.
So that the United States and Russia destroy each other and leave them in control of the world. But the plot is found out, and it's really chilling to me to tell you this. It's very chilling because we all love to hear the Ave Maria whenever it was played at the Trump rallies. Everyone, near the end, there was a moment of reverence, and that's the holy moment. But at the end of this movie, when the U.S. and Russia find out the plot against the two of them and who hatched it, it is a quick end to all the conspirators. It is one right after the others of the masterminds, the planners. And it's an Austrian oligarch who is the evil one in this, a European banking magnate who wants to control all the money in the world. So it's interesting, the parallel between this guy and Klaus Schwab.
Yeah.
So the end of the movie where all of this revenge is being taken is the Ave Maria is being sung.
Mm-hmm.
So there, again, 2003 is how long ago they planted this idea. And it's part of that sequence of continuing war against something so that they can keep the War Powers Act.
How about that? Yeah, the contingency of government, I guess, is known. So
continuity.
Continuity of COG, continuity of government. Nice little acronym, which really just another. And we do see your hand raised there as well, Bruce. So we'll have you in momentarily, and then over to the ladies, and back to Roger, of course. But yeah, continuity of government, just a polite way of referring to martial law, something that we very nearly saw take place here via South Korea a few weeks ago. Go ahead, Bruce. Then over to the ladies, and back to Roger regarding any topic whatsoever. So including Christmas, of course, because we do need to kind of get there eventually.
Well, I brought up and Robert brought up the idea that there is some nuclear material on the loose, so to speak, and that this is what the drones are searching for. Mm-hmm. And that is also a very good possibility, but one needs to understand that my research in the Wallkill River Valley in the 1990s discovered an amazing alien craft embedded within Ordovician rock. That means that the rock itself is 420 million years old. It's been dated. And this alien triangle is very large. It is still functioning. It is nuclear powered, and it is sending signals out into space every time the constellation Bootes is overhead. And this was quite an amazing discovery. This craft is 565 feet on a side of the triangle, and that's as big as a football stadium. And it's been there for over 400 million years. So those who are questioning whether or not ET could get to Earth, I'm sorry, but you just have to take it on face value that they've been here much longer than humans have been on the planet.
Yeah, it's well within the realm of possibility. People, they just can't seem to get beyond the hubris that we are ingrained with, unfortunately. And that's one reason why I find, speaking of psychedelics, and that's the splash kind of cover promo photo we ran with this week, John M. Allegro, the Sacred Cross and the Mushroom. As Bill Hicks, famous American comedian Bill Hicks, put it back in the day, the mushrooms helping to squeegee clean the third eye. Dissolution or disintegration of the ego, basically. So, it's once you're able to get, give up your ego and just kind of get beyond all the nonsense that it entails, it's a lot easier to be able to comprehend or not, or just contemplate, rather, I guess is a more accurate term, exactly what the sort of potentialities that you are, that you're sharing with us right now. So not a problem, not that it's necessarily the case, but it's a fascinating, intriguing, and let's hear that one more time. What the work that you did, which you've carbon dated, is that right?
No, the rocks that contain this alien mining probe have been dated based on uranium decomposition within it, and also the age of that type of rock. It's a marine rock, and was deposited in a shallow epicontinental sea at the time. And I was able to plot and locate ancient islands through the valley that were above sea level at the time that triangular mining probe landed. And then the area continued to subside, and the ocean overran the islands and deposited black muds on top of them, on top of the probes. There's more than one in the valley that I was able to find with a 24 square mile magnetic survey that I had done. It took me 3 years to complete. Mm-hmm. And I found where there's anomalous magnetic activity below ground that is not related to natural magnetic minerals. And then Richard Hoagland, I was working with him at the time, and he gave a talk at the United Nations about his Sardonia 2 report, which for him was recognizing that the Avebury Circle and the Silbury Hill in Great Britain were 1/6 versions of the crater and the Tholus on Mars. And I was fascinated by this, that he could make that connection. And I was questioning whether or not his idea that these features in Great Britain were surrounded by crop circles formations. And he suggested that they were trying to point out the relationship between those two features in Great Britain and the features that he describes and documents in his books on Mars. So I went out into the field and I mapped the area around Pine Bush and I discovered a remnants of a large crater, what appeared to be a crater. And this crater on Mars is very significant in that it has a tetrahedron built on top of its rim on Mars. And on the outsplash apron, there is a hill that was built. And to make a long story short, with 3 years of work in the valley, the Wallkill River Valley, I discovered the remnants of the original Cydonia II complex here in New York State. And this is something that I bring out in my book, Unconventional Aerial Phenomena in the Hudson and Wallkill River Valley. But what I was able to do is date when that the Cydonia complex of pyramids and monuments on Mars were built based on continental drift on Earth. And it turned out that the features I was finding in the Wallkill River Valley were overrun by glaciers during the last Wisconsin ice age. And that means that they had to have been built during the last interglacial, about 130,000 years ago, before the last ice age.
How do we find your website? Because you do have a homepage with all this information laid out in detail. What is the address?
Just Google Cydonia II report. If you go to my my YouTube channel, you can come up with my videos that I created to explain all of this.
Okay. Cydonia II report.
Right.
And, Bruce Cornett helps as well, too. Along
By
with
the way,
your
I
name.
found the video.
Oh, you found the video of the orb? Or orbs?
Yeah, the orbs on the moon.
Oh.
I can show it. It's very short.
Fantastic.
Okay, let's have it, and then we really have to shift over to the ladies here.
All right. I'll tell you, they have deleted the part where the UFO comes up. You'll see it at the end, very low to the ground. But before it gets low to the ground, it goes above and shoots down, and makes it look very unpleasant to have been in its presence, to say the least. Okay, so this first shot is the long shot. They were in orbit, and these orbs are in orbit around the moon, flying around. And then they get closer and closer.
If there's any volume, be sure to turn it up as well.
It starts now.
Oh boy.
Oh, this is filmed by NASA Apollo.
Yeah. 16 millimeter film from inside the spacecraft.
1969?
72. Watch.
What are those objects thought to be?
It's like the spire on the moon. The shadow.
It's pretty close. How large would that last one have thought to have been?
I can only guess, and it would be probably 10 feet in diameter.
Maybe the size of a small car.
Volkswagen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a Volkswagen. And as a matter of fact, if you compare, I'm trying to get a frame over here. Yeah, okay. You can see that, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you compare this with what appeared at Manchester, New Hampshire airport,
England.
that started this whole thing way back in November, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
A thing came down and stopped the takeoffs and landings, and some airline pilots took out their iPhones and took pictures of it. It's identical to this, even to this scallop over here, this scallop design, right? This shadow here, of course, this is in the back, so it's black. But you can see structure like portals, perhaps over here and here. If you look at it as a face, you could say an eye and a nose over here, just to get oriented. But this substructure, right, or this aspect of this craft is similar to the one that came down, and it's doing the same thing in New Hampshire, Manchester Airport, New Hampshire. The orb is doing exactly the same thing. It's hovering 3 or 4 feet above the ground, and doing surveillance is what I assume. So
some sort of sentry probe.
And then, so I've shown you the one that's 1972, the one that I showed you from the moon, and then this other thing, current events, in right here in New Jersey. And somebody really took a good telescopic picture, and it was exactly like that pan that I showed you. The picture that the guy took through the telescope,
right,
was just like this. This pan.
Okay, yeah. So we encourage everyone, of course, to follow up on this if they're so inclined, and I'm not sure how much longer either of you, Bruce or Robert, are able to stick around, but we're, as always, we'll be adding your contact information, so have no fear, and people can easily find you via that means. We're just working on catching our breath and trying to catch up to speed on what's been unfolding here. It's just every year it just comes at such a pace. Frankly, it's a real challenge to stay on top of things, but we're here, we're committed to the public, not always reporting on current events, but this seems to be such high profile nature. It's the elephant in the room. How can you really ignore it throughout the course of things? I wonder if they chose the Christmas season intentionally. And, it could be quite something. Some Christians are predicting the return of Christ, I guess, is one of the things. Or the staged alien invasion is another. And maybe it'll just all die down here at some point without any
Christmas tree ornaments, Captain.
Yeah,
many are round, spherical.
Right. Yeah. Well, sure. And why is that?
Good question.
All right.
Star of Bethlehem.
Yeah. Top of the tree. Karma, love is ducked out. Maybe she'll be back.
By the way, Jeffy, I'm here in the background, and whenever you want, I would talk about St. John the Divine on the island of Patmos, and the book.
Oh, absolutely. We're dying to hear from you on that front. The magic mushrooms via the island of Patmos, St. John. I'm not divine, revelator, what have you, but we'll get to that you in just a few moments here. We don't want to lose Sonia. Welcome back, Sonia. It's good to have you return to the fold, as it were. Very refreshing. How are you doing this fine solstice evening? Via
Great.
Arizona. How's Phoenix treating you tonight?
Oh, pretty good. Absolutely.
Hey, we heard you had a little backyard, some sort of pagan
burning, backyard
Yeah.
burning.
Let's hear about that a little more the other night. What happened?
Yet, but it is in the works. It's just when you kind of burn old items or things that you want to let go of, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Don't really resonate with anymore, or not necessarily not resonate with, but that you just kind of want to let go of. So
Sure.
it's kind of one of those, yeah. So
Oh.
yeah, it does really make a difference in my experience.
You feel better?
Soon. We haven't had it yet. We're gonna have it here pretty soon.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. In the Zen tradition, it's part of, I would argue, what's called walking the bird's path. Yeah, and really, you look at the term enlightenment, you can see that in two respects. At least I've managed to come up with two ways of viewing it. Not that I've experienced ultimate enlightenment, as far as I can tell, but one is the eureka moment, the satori, as the Zen folk tell us. The light goes off, and you have this great revelation and awakening, insight. And then secondly, of course, is the enlightening, the taking off of the heavy load that we have on our shoulders. We're burdened by so much of within the world that holds us down. It's like, oh, we can't, oh, this and that. It's just, what a burden. So if you burn it up, like what, that's excellent. Have you done this before?
Yeah, actually I have. Like I had, and this goes kind of years back, but I had a pillow, and it's a long story, of course, as usual. However, it was a pillow that this guy I was dating would sleep on, and it was a big ordeal that happened. And I'm like, man. And then I realized, oh my gosh, I still have this guy's pillow. And, people were burning, just having bonfires in the backyard, normal stuff. And I thought, well, you know what? I'm just going to burn this thing. And it did a lot to get that whole vibration out of the entire place, So it aided in healing very much.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Of course.
Mm-hmm.
So why don't you get yourself, if you don't mind, could you put yourself back on camera? I'm not sure if you have those funky shades on hand as you did last go around. They were pretty cool too.
They might be around.
Your background is great. That's a Celtic knot, is it?
Yeah, it's just one of those big tapestries they used to sell, or probably still do.
Yeah, and for new people that have yet to meet you or be introduced to you or hear about you via the live stream, including the likes, I would imagine here, at least Bruce and anyone else out there listening, why don't you just give a quick rundown, overview, synopsis of who you are and what essentially you're all about and why you've decided to be a part of this year's Christmas outreach and relief campaign.
Well, first of all, hi Bruce, nice to meet you.
Hi Sonia.
Yeah. I do t-shirts and I do tattoos as well. And I'm looking for my soulmate, just so everyone knows. Had to throw that out there. But yeah, and I was thinking of I've got a little bit better idea of what you're trying to do with this whole thing. So I'm thinking what I wanted to do was possibly give out some blankets to some homeless people.
Good
now, I don't know
stuff.
for that or anything, so much. I mean, I could film it, that would be kind of cool.
Oh, that'd be great. Yeah. Do you have homeless people downtown Phoenix?
Oh, they're everywhere.
Oh,
they're
wow.
everywhere.
Well,
they're everywhere.
Go find the right people.
Those bins that you give clothes to,
Yeah.
like those little bins in parking lots they have.
Sure.
Any where those are, usually there's a bunch of homeless people that crowd around that for whatever reason.
Yeah. Food and
Probably.
clothing is one of the big things, non-perishables, I guess, as they're known, along with, of course,
I do have some food that I could give them too. And the only reason I say that, because there's a lot of homeless people in my experience that I've met that are very picky about things. Like I met this girl outside of Walmart and she was like, I need some food or whatever. But then she was super picky about what I bought her. I'm like, come on in. And she's like, no, I must only have Doritos. And it's like, you can't. So it was just kind of funny. And then I bought her cigarettes too. And she had to have cool cigarettes. she couldn't have a generic menthol cigarette. It had to be cool. So I'm like, wow, you are super smelly and picky, you know, because she was pretty smelly at
Well,
the time.
but yeah, the thing about
was-
it, keep in mind, just something dawned on me. A lot of street people, they suffer from
yeah,
greater mental illness than what even we do with our mental
absolutely. But they're
disease.
still not stupid, though. I mean,
No, but they're
you know,
deluded. Many,
and
you know, we're all deluded, and street people can be really out there sometimes. You know.
they absolutely can. They absolutely can, and I do know this for sure. But they still have like a heart and a brain for the most part, and you can still communicate with them in a way that makes sense. It's kind of direct, you know. There's no.
Yeah.
That's why her shit, you know, because I'm like, dude, you sure are picky for being a homeless bitch, you know, or whatever.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, but and I bought her what she wanted, which is fine or whatever. And
Yeah.
you know, I learned something from that, because from that I learned that no matter, because there are a lot of homeless people who choose to be homeless, which is fine. You know, people can choose what they want to. But I learned that just because someone's homeless doesn't mean they just want anything from people. You know, they still have obviously their preferences about things, you know. And so it was kind of cool, actually, all in all. But in any case, that aside, what I was wanting to do was maybe, you know, I've got some canned goods, and I had met a girl in the parking lot one time at Circle K, and she's like, you know, because in Phoenix, there's a lot of places that are kind of downtownish, I guess you could say. But, and I had a can of corn, because I used to, you know, live in my van or my truck, whatever you want to call it. And I had some corn, like a can of corn, and she's like, oh, I'll totally take that, dude. And I was like, here you go, you know. And it felt really good to be able to help someone out.
Yeah.
You know, and that's actually been an important part of what I would like to do, is set up some sort of a thing to where, you know, you just kind of help people who, it's kind of an in the catch thing, like I am you, you are me kind of thing. So when someone asks you for like money or whatever, usually I just kind of give them a cigarette or whatever it is on the side of the road, because I've learned, you know, I've only been homeless one time. It's another story. However,
Join the
you
club.
know, if you don't have a cigarette, sometimes you want to just, someone might die, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
because you're
coffee.
so frustrated about everything going on.
Yeah.
If you own a cigarette, you'd be okay.
Yeah.
So I like to, because I have cigarettes, so I like to hand that out. I don't always have, plus, you know, there's all these stipulations about, you know, or these thoughts about giving homeless people money, where they're going to spend it on, which I figure if you're going to give someone anything, you don't care what they do with what you give them. That's not a part of, it's not like a conditional thing. It's not like well, I'll give you this only if you spend it on blah, blah, blah. You know, it's like, no, that's not, that kills the whole spirit of giving something. If you want to give, you give them, and they can do whatever they want with it.
Everyone's different in that way. Yeah, I myself, other than the campaign where we once again selectively sponsor and vet to the point where we're happy that if we do send like $50 in support of their cause and challenge others, people that are in our, you know, our listener support based community, that you know, that they're not going to be spending it on the wrong sort of thing. They've got, like, for example, we have a grandmother with 6 grandkids, and out of New York State. Actually, she's semi-anonymous at this point. We've been in touch through email, and you know, we're if we can basically hear back from her again, then because we need her PayPal, that we'll send that her way, and no questions asked. Yvonne Malfond out of Coquitlam, and Stephanie Wilcox, who we sponsored last year with her children. Now, you know, and it's the same thing this go around. So people are in New York State, for example, or Vancouver, or wherever you happen to be. If you hear us talking about people that are in New York or Vancouver or North Carolina, and you have friends and contacts, people that can serve as, you know, work as boots on the ground to get out there and show up as angels in human form with groceries, clothes, and whatever, toiletries, whatever their needs happen to be. Let's make that happen. We've done it in years past. We're continuing to do it. We got $100 donated. We don't directly solicit donations. Sometimes, you know, you don't, that expression, you don't stare a gift horse in the mouth. People
Right.
such as even Robert here, a very generous donation recently to the campaign. We have another our adult students in Korea, $100. And Steve out of Calgary recently coming on board with his long distance remote. Now, I'm not. It's not Reiki, but it's some sort of consciousness healing. You know, thought in intentional. You know, vibration. Uh, wonders that he can offer, so he claims. And so,
You know,
look, we had last night. We had AWOL Aarons basically say that he'll write poems for people. Anyone that wants a poem, put a
sure.
pledge in, and even if you're homeless and it helps to make your day a little better, he'll write you a
Sure.
poem. But if you
Absolutely.
can pledge something, if it's within your means, it's not within everyone's means, but if it is, pledge a little bit of support. $25 would be a good start, and he'll write you a decent quality poem that we can, you know, help to see that
Yeah,
the proceeds go
that's
towards a
cool.
good cause.
That's so cool. He was volunteering that kind of stuff.
Well,
That's
sure, man.
super
That's
cool.
all. It's you have tarot readings. I do I Ching.
That too. That would
Okay.
be fun.
All right.
Yeah.
So this is, I mean, this is well, I do I Ching, you do tarot, and there's no reason, you know, we got it. It's day 7 already. So let's just let people know those are also on the auction block, and it's basically $50 for each is what we're looking at there. Myself, I can do as many as I suppose 5 readings for various people at $50. If you want to try to talk, as if it's a sliding scale. If that's just too much for you, then talk to
Yeah.
me and we can work
Yeah.
something out. But we want to see the proceeds that you have go toward a worthy cause, and then send us the receipts. That's all we need, is send us the receipts. We don't want the money coming our way. Send us a picture, copy of the receipts, demonstrating how you help somebody out on that front, or just picture of you with a bag of groceries at somebody's house or clothing, you name it. Just, it's very ad hoc, improvisational.
That's
Shovel
cool.
somebody's driveway if they need. Go make them a nice dinner. Take them
Or
out for
fix
lunch.
a fucking toilet who doesn't know how to fix it. Kind
Yes,
of thing.
there you go. Exactly.
Elderly person or whatever. It doesn't even have to be that, but a lot of
Yes.
people know how to fix toilets, and it's
Right.
not that, you know.
Well,
It's just
you bet.
just helping.
There you go. And so just put our thinking caps, collective thinking caps on, and it's amazing what can be done. Bruce, what did Robert say? I'm not sure if he said anything, but I mean, he could offer a little bit in the way of Tai Chi, I suppose. That's New York State as well. I'm assuming he'd be okay with something like that, just a complimentary lesson. And Bruce, I don't know what you're able.
I just
Go ahead.
before my turn ends or whatever, I just wanted to say that one of the reasons this is so important to me, there's many. However, one year when my children were small, I couldn't get them socks. They needed socks, right? And I'm like, oh my God, I don't have any socks and I was so, like, with everything else going on, I was so sad about it that I was like crying about it and stuff,
Sure.
of course.
Yeah.
Private, whatever.
Yeah.
And the kids were pretty small at the time. I mean, they were like 7 and like 10 or something, or anyway.
How many
Right.
kids? 2, 3 children?
So,
How many children?
well, this was before my son, my UFO guy, came up. You know.
UFO
So,
guy.
My son Dylan, my 20-year-old.
He plays
guitar.
he's a guitar player. Yeah.
Yeah. That was before him. So this is when the other 2 were small, and those are the ones I raised by myself, you know. And so I was very, very like distraught. I'm like, oh my God, I can't even get them. And it was Christmas time. It was actually around Christmas time, actually. And so the daycare I was taking him to, I had this great daycare lady. She's so awesome. Oh my gosh. And that's another story too. But there is stories with that, of course, with everything. But in any case, their daycare decided to help out some of the kids there, and I shit you not, they brought me socks to my house for both of the kids and food and everything else. And I was just like, I started crying. I'm like, oh my God, thank you. So that was one of the things that happened that really kind of let me know that there are, like, your prayers are heard. You know what I mean? It's not like things go unheard. So it was like people would say miracle-ish or whatever, but it was super awesome. So that kind of has always, I always thought, well, when I have the means to give, I would like to give to others as well. So I'm realizing that that's part of the spirit of what you're doing with this whole thing is just the giving spirit, period.
Pay it forward.
Yeah, kind of paying it forward. Absolutely. So cool. So I just wanted to share that before I closed out my turn here.
Thank you. Well, yeah, that's
you bet.
Great
Absolutely.
to hear, and there could be a lot to that. Just put it out there, and you never know what. Well, it's like the Bible talks about. What is it?
And besides that, it's not the spirit of giving with expectation at all. It's just giving to be kind. Just to help your fellow person.
Although I must add that we do, even though there have been no problems to this point, we do recuse ourselves of any, I think the term is recuse, disavow. No, we bear no third-party responsibility or liability in the event that somebody decides to reach out and engage someone and help them out through, over the Christmas season in one manner or the next, and things go awry. We've had no problems to this point. We're actually building up to a really great Boxing Day, not only just a one-day event, but encouraging people to carry things on through for at least 1 or even 2 weeks in the spirit of the great, the martyred Saint Stephen. Actually, Robert, you'd know a thing about him, I would imagine. And the feast of Saint Stephen, of which I believe there is a classic, Good King Wenceslas, I think is the song. So maybe we should play that. We do have some music here on hand as well that we're able to queue up when people are all done talking, I suppose. Wouldn't be a problem. We could do a little karaoke together for, speaking of singing, for anyone that's not too shy. I've got a couple songs. And some historical insights into the actual historicity of Saint Nicholas. So many people often, you hear them want to make the claim that Santa is Satan, which you can look at, as we mentioned last night, the anagram. You can scramble the letters around. It's like, okay, Coca-Cola is trying to get one over on the public, I guess, with their Santa Claus. But it's actually Sinterklaas out of the Netherlands. I forgot to mention that last night, in conjunction with Saint Nick. So, Bruce or actually, let's go to Roger. We haven't heard from him in a while, and then back over to the other two gentlemen. So, Roger, you know much about Sinterklaas out of the Netherlands? Not Krampus, of course, of whom we alluded to somewhat with the devilish type promo photo we had running last evening.
I just heard rumors about him. I heard like he was this fat dude that always went down people's chimneys and gave stuff to people.
Saint Nick?
Oh, Sinterklaas.
Oh, Sinter. Yeah, that's, you get the cinders. So that's
yes.
Yeah, that's right.
He would constantly get his butt stuck in there.
Is that right? Bruce, do you know about that?
No, that's basically, what I've heard in the past. It arose over there in the Scandinavian countries.
Right. Well,
that's actually it's that's a caricature. Saint Nicholas was real. He was historic, and it actually goes back. Saint Nicholas was Turkish. He was a Turkish bishop.
That's right.
That was shipwrecked or wound up on in Turkey, and then his I guess he he began a bishopric, and it spread, and he was very generous and encouraged people to give things to people. And then he chose that the nativity period to mimic the gifts of the three kings. So that spread, and it spread north. And when it got to Germany and Holland, they added a little bit of spice with Krampus. But St. Nicholas was a Catholic or a Christian bishop. I don't know if the Catholic Church had actually amalgamated that tightly then. But I did want to chip in on the sacred mushroom and the cross.
That's right.
Because it's a very important thing in human evolution. There's a book that I would recommend to everyone. It's actually by Arthur M. Young, and it's called The Reflexive Universe. And it's about the powers of seven, that the universe and nature create reality, fabricate it on a number system based on seven. And in it, just to cut to the chase, he comes to the conclusion that the sacred mushroom was put here on Earth to have a symbiotic relationship with man, that we would boost each other and help each other propagate. That when primitive man ate the mushroom and had his consciousness expanded, it gave him incentive to cultivate the mushroom and keep it going. And in this process, human consciousness evolved. But in Sacred Mushroom and the Cross, Dr. John Allegro goes on to suggest that some of the titles that Jesus assumed and applied to himself, like Son of Man and Son of God, are actually metaphors for the mushroom, Amanita muscaria, which was called the flesh of God in the Middle East, in their dialects, and was called the Son of God and the flesh of God. And so he interprets Jesus' identification with the term Son of Man, Son of God. Eat my flesh, this is my flesh, in that statement in the liturgy, that is referring to this sacred relationship between human consciousness and divine consciousness, intermediated by the mushroom. And so I have had a lot of experience with psychic exploration, and the highest spiritual experience I ever had was experiencing the all-seeing eye. My soul was taken out of my body and transported into darkness so vast that it was darkness before light existed. And what I experienced was there's something called the night of Brahma, that Brahma, the Hindu god of all creation, sleeps for basically eternity. And when he wakes up, at the instant that he wakes up, he creates worlds and universes. So I was taken back into a blackness, a void so deep that nothing could move except a spirit. And the spirit was a being, and that being woke up. And that when it woke up, it said, I am here. That was the word, that was the logos, that was the statement of creation. I am here. And that idea went out as a spark of light in this void. And as that idea went out as a spark of light, it changed the nature of that space. That space I call protospace. Protospace is a space that has not been traversed by either time or light. And without time and light, there is no matter. That's another consequence of this. So in that moment, I looked in all directions simultaneously, and I was a spark of consciousness in this ocean. I was a drop of consciousness in an ocean of consciousness that was being allowed to understand and know that it was a drop, but also part of the ocean, and it was the ocean of awareness. And this ocean of awareness began to spread. And when that thought, that statement came forth, I am here, that sparked an expansion. But it was an expansion of this special kind of light and there was a return. Suddenly there was a little flash in the dark, and attention was drawn to it, and that was finding the soul. And I'll tell you, the soul in that moment looked very much like this depiction that I have here of the planet Venus.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw the incubation of the universal soul, and then it burst into the being of light, the creator, and another being, the sun.
That's Mars? I'm sorry, Robert. That's Mars you have behind your head. Is that right?
No, behind my head, actually, I am sitting in the... Yeah, that's Mars behind my head. That's
right,
Venus,
and with Venus, correct. So war and love. Love and war.
Yeah, exactly. I'm caught here between war and love on a planet that has the capacity, infinite capacity to express both, but is torn now. And so I'm using it as my background symbol.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to find that right place where I can show them both.
Mm-hmm. Very poetic.
Maybe here. That's about right. Okay, so there we are. This humanity today, Christmas Eve, the solstice. Happy solstice to everyone.
Mm-hmm.
We are caught between love and war, and we have to decide which one is going to guide our destiny. We've been following the war path, and now they're ready to kill even our cats. See, so we have to stop this.
Did you get that email I sent you?
I haven't. I've been staying away from email the last 2 days. And
It was exactly that. It was exactly dealing with how, and this was something they laid out right in the lead up to the whole scamdemic. I think we can say that without getting kicked off of BoobTube, but they were that you can see because these are trial balloons. If you know what those that refers to, that where they test the public, they probe the public and see what sort of response they can get from them. So yeah, it's like, so we're going to come for your animals now. Start wanting to chip them and then inject them. They all have to get these mandatory, which is not legal, by the way. Mandatory is not a law. That's what legislature around the world actually passed any binding laws during the course of the whole, corona apocalypse. I don't think there was a single one. They went about it by weaponizing the infrastructure and basically whipping the public into a total frenzy, so that
the word you just used, corona apocalypse, harkens back to the subject that we started with, which is the Revelation,
right?
And St. John, St. John on the island of Patmos, who wrote the Revelation. I had a very interesting series of experiences. I had a vision of myself on an island that had 2 humps and a gigantic angel chasing this little man. This little man was running way up one hill, down the hill, up the hill, down the hill, and looking over his shoulder at something fearsome. And then out stepped this angel, clothed in a cloud. And he took 2 steps, one on the land and one on the sea. And then in this vision that I had in the 1980s, the angel took the little man and picked him up, and he was tiny, like a little mouse. And he said, the angel said to me, little man, don't you understand that you cannot run away from me? I am your spirit. He took me, he dipped me in the water twice and soaked me, and then he put me on the beach. And I was mind-boggled by this experience. But
so you were baptized in Patmos.
At Patmos, in the spirit. So a couple of years later, a friend of mine, a Greek friend, Greco-American, came back from many months away, and I said, "Hey, John, where you been? I haven't seen you in ages." He says, "Oh, I just got back from Greece. I've been there for a few months. As a matter of fact, I went to Patmos." And I said, "Really?" He said, "Yeah, and I've got pictures." So I said, could I see them? I've always wanted to see what that looked like. So we went upstairs, and half an hour later, and he shows me pictures, and Patmos is this island with 2 camel humps. It was remarkable. And I recognized the site. So I told him my theory that St. John the Divine had his visions under the influence of the sacred mushroom. And he said to me, John said to me, he said, you know what's interesting? When you go there, the people tell you, don't eat the mushrooms. They'll take you to the underworld. And he says, as a matter of fact, their name for the mushroom is Tartarus. And Tartarus is the name for the Greek underworld. So there is consistency in this theory that John Allegro expounded on, and also my own personal experience, because what I saw was the birth of the cosmic Christ. I saw the face of the Father, and he gave me a message for all mankind. And it unfolded, as I said, that there was a star, and this polarity occurred. And centrifugal forces had taken all the liquid elements of it to the equator and all of the light elements to the center as an axis. And this center coalesced all the light in the universe at that time, and the light escaped and became a being. But before that happened, there was an explosion, and the shell of this star unwrapped. And when it unwrapped, out came a man, a being, magnificent being, with the most, he was a being, every aspect of him was composed of light. He was appeared to be bronze. He had the most beautiful expression on his face, and he came at me and through me. And as he came at me, he looked in my eyes and he gave me this message. He said, I know you. I've known you since the beginning of time. I know everything you've ever done and everything you'll ever do. And still, I love you. And then in a flash of light, it went on. And then I saw the birth of Christ and Lucifer, and a battle, a contention between them that led to understanding why things are the way they are, which is the reason I was taken there, as I was told. And what I saw was the fall of Lucifer. And what created the fall was that Lucifer had been in the darkness suppressing light since for all eternity, and now light is expressed and free. And Lucifer wanted to go back into the darkness. He wanted to become God. And his impulse to become God, he had to kill God. And that's what he tried to do. I stand as a witness that Lucifer is condemned for eternity until redemption, because he tried to kill God. And when he tried to kill God, he failed and slew his higher self. And that resulted in this polarity, the material universe and the spiritual universe, in a process of conversion, one into the other, back and forth, that unfolds creation as we experience it today. But we are all spirits. We are all spirits. We were all there together in that moment when God awoke and said, I am here. We were there. Some of us have been allowed to remember it, and some of us are encased in something that I would liken to the molecule, the carcerand. The carcerand takes its name from the word incarceration, because that molecule is meant to lock up something inside it and bond and exclude it from the world outside. So I think that scientists have built a carcerand around themselves, and so they don't understand that outside the carcerand is the world of spirit, which is manifesting it. So I'm happy to share that with you. This is 50th anniversary of my experiencing that, which because it did happen on the solstice, although the solstice that year was on the 22nd. But I'm happy to share it with all of you. And
Well, that's pretty intense, pretty profound, very powerful. Car,
Excellent.
just go ahead, Bruce.
Thank you.
Yeah,
That was wonderful.
yeah. Car
I,
itself as a vehicle is also one a way of looking at things. In addition to the fact of, I was just thinking off the top of my head here, carcinogen or cancer causing, not good, right? So make of it what you will, folks. We got a lot of activity in the chat and of things. David Wilkes, along with Karma Love, and Karma Love, who's actually a few things here, requesting more music, courtesy of myself and whoever else is willing to step up to the mic. Really looking forward to hearing some Christmas songs to one degree or the next. But she also read, or rather, took in I guess it's a documentary that you recommended. Just trying to scroll down here. Maybe we went down too far. The Hidden Hand is what she's talked about here. The one that you recommended the other night, Robert, is what she's talking about. So definitely it's something we're taking note of. And David Wilkes claiming here that we have not been in the United States represented, is what he's trying to say, since 1871. Yeah, something quite profound took place. I think that's with the incorporation of transforming the nation into a company or corporation, perhaps, if I'm not mistaken. So it's all beyond me. If I was a lawyer, an expert in the field, have more to offer, but it is what it is. So and Psycho Fire too. Let's not forget them. So and we've got another. Now, is it a benefactor? Who do you refer to that finds himself on the receiving end of someone's generosity? The benefactor, or beneficiary? No, it's a beneficiary is what they are. If I'm is that I think that's correct. So they receive what we have to offer them, but this is all at the moment via Facebook. So we're just checking up on their email. We've got, once again, Yvonne Malfont on board, along with Carrie, who's a grandmother of 6 out of New York State. And thirdly, Stephanie Wilcox with her 3 children and former vet husband. They're all struggling with one health issue or the next. And in fact, we could read to you the letter that she sent to us here if we managed to multitask a little more smoothly. And we've shared those details in past live streams. So, but as far as, I'm just going to use her first name, Renee. We're looking up on the email that she sent to us and going to try to suss out whether or not she's someone who we can help out or not. I think she may be the former vet out of North Carolina, which was hit by that really major hurricane a number of months ago. Have either of you or Roger, did you follow the hurricane impact out of North Carolina? That was a big deal and still continues to be so, especially, not least of which is the fact of how FEMA has really, I mean, how the corruption, it seems, and incompetence, combination of the two, could not be any worse.
I was following what happened in Florida, most of it, but that was just before what happened there. I know it got pretty out of hand. Like FEMA pretty much was worthless when it came to that whole situation. They really didn't follow through with a lot of the things that they're supposed to be able to do.
Yeah.
And then they were denying local volunteer services too. And if you wanted to donate, FEMA was making it to where people who donated had to send their money to them instead of sending it directly to the people doing the volunteer work.
See, and that's the thing, was exactly what we're doing here. It's counter opposite to these Muppets. UNICEF, Red Cross, Salvation Army, Mothers Against Drunk Driving, the Bush Clinton, relief for Haiti or Katrina, fund. I'm sorry, folks. I would be very wary of any establishment, so-called relief organization such as these. Uh, maybe Robert or Bruce, do you know how much of your money, when you make a monetary donation, ends up going directly to the people you'd intended it to? Any guesses?
A small amount.
About 10 cents if you're lucky. A dime. 10 cents on the dollar. So, whereas ourselves here, what we do is we put people in contact with one another, the haves and the have-nots, so that they're matched up, so that people can selectively sponsor those that they'd like to support. We've got our folks that we've brought on board, and we'd encourage everyone else out there to get active in your communities and follow suit, meet or beat the amount pledges of support that we've put forward if it's within your means. And let us know what's taking place via New York or Texas or West Frankfort, Illinois. We'll try to keep you updated via South Korea here as best we can. People clearly do not do enough. This is the one time a year where we can reach out and make a change, a positive impact in people's lives, even if it is just something not as significant as the likes of someone like Elon Musk might be able to conjure. But the biblical story of the widow's mite is something that I referenced the other night. This within the context of what we're kind of rebranding as the pirate's mite. I don't know, Bruce, if you're familiar with that story or not. We brought it up, I think, with Robert Morningstar here the other evening. So, Robert, are you refreshed and up to speed on the story of the widow's mite, or Bruce for that matter, and Saint Stephen? Let's not forget. We got to talk about him a little bit.
I think the widow's mite we discussed last time, which was the sacrifice, the offering of a widow who had she had pennies. Basically, a mite was like a penny, and it was all she could afford. So she gave that at the temple, and Jesus said that gift, that offering from lack of abundance, was a greater offering than somebody who gave from being rich. That the degree of the sacrifice was greater, and the offering was more worthy, he insinuated, than a big offering from a rich person. So
indeed. What's interesting too is the parallels within the Buddhist tradition. I probably brought this up the other night as well, that scholars have found, this is just even as early as the late 19th century, over 100 striking parallels between Buddhist and Christian traditions. And this widow's mite business is one of them, where you can find a similar type story, predating the Christian version by several hundred years, obviously. Let me just shift gears and focus to Jessica Renee, out of, and we're not going to give the rest of her name here on air unless she gives us the green light, just to, because of the secret operation. Let's be clear, Operation Secret Santa, nothing to do with Secret Santa at all, once again. But rather Operation Secret Santa, much bigger, much more overarching, and something that where we can do a lot better, provide a lot better, more positive things for a wider number of people than just, pulling names out of hats and engaging in a gift exchange with one of your coworkers. But Jessica Renee has just sent us an email, so looks like going to be adding her to the list. We'll read you the details here momentarily. So Yvonne, Yvonne Malfont, who's offering an hour of complimentary counseling services. Let's not forget. So he's, it's not like he's here along for a free ride, but rather, wants to do what he can to, see that people know. It's all part of, I guess, give and take, really. So, but he'll soon be back up on his feet, and via the lower mainland of Vancouver. It's a tough slog for a lot of people these days, with the way things Trudeau. Just, that Trump recently has started now referring to Castro as Justine Trudeau. Robert, like, how long has he been doing that? So I know you were big on that.
Oh my God, I made that up 4 years ago, 5 years ago.
He's starting to call him.
Started to spread.
Yeah. Have you heard that?
Oh my! Listen, we are going to see one of the greatest political feats of all time. We are going to see one man topple a government without war. He's using this moment to ridicule him out of office. If what you tell me is true, is like they're hearing the word, and I called him Queen Justine starting 4 years ago, because I said that he was a communist dictator who was trying to overthrow the government, and the Queen was alive at that time. So I began to call him the man who would be Queen. And Queen Justine, of course, it rhymes.
The Prince in Pink. He's a little pink prince.
Totally gratified to hear that President Trump did it, because he's been harping since Thanksgiving on Canada becoming the 51st state. And so
I'm not big on that. I've got to tell you, I know you've been right, but I'm not. I've got a song I wrote, actually. I recorded. I've got a video.
Vote.
I'll share it with you.
Let's have a vote.
Oh, yeah.
Connects it.
Yeah. No, I'd like to see Canada become more freedom based. Definitely, there's no more American style than that sense. But without getting into too many of the details, just one thing quickly off what Yvonne shared with us, Castro, and he is the secret, semi-secret, bastard love child of so it would seem, of his mother, Margaret Sinclair, whose bloodline does run, can be traced, from what I understand, all the way back to, I think it's William Sinclair of Scotland. Roslin is to be, if I'm not mistaken. He was a central actor and driving force behind the production and building of Roslin Chapel, interestingly, and a major tie into the Knights Templar. So, but anyways, so that's why they've got him in that position. Secret bastard love child of Margaret Sinclair and former Cuban dictator Fidel Castro. Without getting into too many details, just encourage people to look. You can go on DuckDuckGo and take a look at the facial comparisons, and let
Jeffy,
people decide.
what's amazing is to see Jagmeet Singh turn on him.
Oh, really? I've not. No, they've been bailing. It's a major collapse right now of his government, from all indications. From just
he was the last straw, as I saw. Jagmeet Singh's party,
of course,
is the last straw. That was what the one vote that survived the last challenge was from that party.
Voted non-confidence? Has he received a vote of non-confidence?
Non-confidence, and he missed being impeached or removed from office by one vote. And of course, the NLP, was it NDP? Votes as a block. They vote as a block.
Yeah.
This guy Jagmeet Singh, I guess a Sikh communist. Okay, that's what it really boils down to.
You see his wife, how she is just. She couldn't. I'm surprised she could even walk or move. The amount of jewelry, just the ostentatious show of wealth that she has, dripping in diamonds and jewels. Such an egalitarian communist matriarch that she is.
Yeah, well, I've never seen her.
Oh, I did, and it was not. It was it kind of, that's all I had to see. It's like what I
I
could
thought you were
kind of,
going to say obesity, you know, and you said
wow,
weight,
no,
jewelry.
no.
Yeah.
Her insatiable
That reminds me.
appetite for
Remember John
indulgence.
Lennon at Albert Hall when he performed
Right.
for the royalty
Yeah.
classic lines?
Those in the cheap seats, clap your hands.
Yeah. The rest of you just
rattle your jewelry.
Rattle your jewelry.
Yeah. So okay, so we'll put that on hold for now if that's all right. Let's get back to Jessica Renee. She provides her phone number, talking about living in Mebane, North Carolina. That's Mebane, Mebane. Roger might be familiar with this. Hey, there's a great shot of John B. Wells, someone whose show Robert Stanley appeared on twice now in just the past couple of weeks. So I'd like to go back if I get the chance here and check out the archived conversation that they've managed to put together. So yeah, anyone that has any contacts with North Carolina that we can send help her way. Let's get people showing up at her house. She's providing her contact information, details, even just an agreed upon public space, if people are more comfortable with that. Something out in the open during daylight hours, so it's nothing to, people feel just comfortable, perhaps, if that's what they're down with. So kids are really depressed this year. They lost her brother at the beginning of the year. I guess that's their uncle. They're going through hell of a year, lost their place to live. They were evicted, living in a house for 7 years at their home, and now they have to move on to the 31st of December. Nowhere to go. They cannot find a place to call home. Our vehicles are falling apart. We need some help. Our light bill is over. Oh, God, I don't even want to say how much their light bill is. Keep your lights off, folks. It's just not good. It's over $1,000, what she's saying here. So, I mean, all we can offer is a drop in the bucket. It really is the pirate's might. But if we can have people show up with non-perishable food, clothing, and love and support, you can bet that the typical response is one of gratitude, and it really does help to make a difference in people's lives. So this, let's see what else we've got to. No kind of Christmas, no tree, no decorations, nothing for the kids this year. And this is just an email that we received a few minutes ago, begging, dire need for help. Pray every day to make our lives okay. So on and so forth. So let's see if there's anything else that really jumps out at us. I think people get the idea. What is this? My boys want Nintendo Switch and a PlayStation 5. Can't get neither. Well, I think that if, unfortunately, they've just the reality to things here is that with, other bills to tend to, that's tough. Unless someone has an extra Nintendo Switch or PlayStation that they can show up, that's possible. We have one here in South Korea we'd be willing to donate to someone such as this, but to get it to actually sent all the way there and in working condition, I don't know, that could be a bit of a stretch. So somebody needs a TV, and let's see, earbuds, headphones. Got her phone number once again, and if there's anything people can do, she's wishing everyone have a blessed, wonderful day. God bless us all to the fullest, and all that we do for the children out here that we help. That's lovely. So I think, then looking at her Facebook, I'd like to see more. I've seen a few photos of her boy, and it looks like even the uncle that died, under what circumstances exactly, I'm not sure. It almost sounds like he may have been, now I'm just guessing here, but it lost under pretty tragic circumstances, a victim of a shooting or something to that effect. I really couldn't tell you, but he's gone, whatever the case. So, but we've got these sort of situations and stories everywhere. I think most will agree. And there's speaking of which, there's some photos. Here's a really great story. That young boy we see popping up on the screen right there, Tracy Joy Steele, who I think it was West Virginia is where she calls home. Last year we helped her out. We reached out to her and connected, and man, it really did make a big difference. It got the kids really fired up. It got Tracy fired up to the point where now she's helping to lead the charge with the Boxing Day end of things in the spirit of Saint Stephen and the feast. What is it? The lyrics to the Good King Wenceslas. We have to track down those lyrics. Robert, you don't know anything about other than he was stoned, and not in the sort of way that we would prefer these days, of course. But the so-called Saint Paul, I think, may have even been present.
Saint Paul.
Well, Paul.
Saint Stephen or Saint Martin? Because you mentioned two before.
No. Saint Stephen, but Paul. I think it's the story one of the stories where Paul was present, and I think we all know, for those that have looked into it, that Paul he persecuted Christians until it's said he saw on the road to Damascus. He had this great revelation. But I'm sorry, I'm just not down with Saint Paul. Nor was Thomas Jefferson, frankly. So, but
right, same here. Mm-hmm. Same here. He hijacked early Christianity, but he got whacked off his horse by a UFO. He saw a light and knocked him off his horse and told and spoke to him.
Smarten up.
Told him it was. He said, "Who are you?" And he said, "It's Jesus. Why do you persecute me?" And then he was struck blind, and he was told to go to Damascus and look for Peter, who would heal him of his blindness. And that, in fact, is the legend. Huh. St. Stephen, I think, was finished off with bows and arrows. I think he was a martyr.
Yeah.
That was, yeah. Mm-hmm. He was basically the first martyr.
Right.
As I recall.
And
so
okay.
He was executed by archers.
You're checking up on this net right in real live time, I guess, are you?
Yeah,
or?
I refreshed my memory of him.
Okay.
And the other one, Saint Martin of Tours, was another one. He was a French saint.
Martin. When did he enter into the picture?
Saint Martin.
Yeah.
It's later, like the 900s, I believe.
Right. Oh, it's so intriguing, the Christian history and people with their spiritual, mystical experiences throughout the years with, it's like the Buddha talked about. His final sermon was real simple, just to keep it simple, do good, cease evil, purify your mind. And what did Christ say, for example? Pardon me?
One thing I want to emphasize with regard to the drones and the mystical occult aspects of this whole thing, the staging of Armageddon. UFOs have been involved in exciting and inciting religious experiences that are driving political forces and political events. Mm-hmm. And I've been emphasizing this season the story of Constantine, who was a pagan Roman emperor and was caught in a civil war. And he was going to meet his nemesis, Maximus, at the Milvian Bridge. A famous battle, one of the most famous battles in history.
Right.
And on the way there, he had a vision. He looked at the sun. He saw an unusual formation above the sun. And he was really struck by it and puzzled by it. And he claimed that the next night, Jesus appeared to him and told him to write that symbol on the shields of all of his soldiers. And he wore the shield on his helmet. And it's the Greek letter chi and the Greek letter rho, which looks to us in English as XP.
Yeah.
When you combine the XP. it creates this symbol, which is called the labarum, which became the symbol of Constantine the Great, who actually amalgamated Christianity, coalesced it. He's criticized for a lot of things, excising a lot of books from the Bible. But I understand he wanted to have a religion that would be palatable to an entire empire in order to unite it through it. So I think that we owe something to Constantine and to remember it. And the symbol, of course, was that he would conquer. With that sign, he would conquer.
Yeah, in hoc. How does the rest of the Latin phrase go?
In hoc signo vinces. In hoc signo vinces.
Through this sign, you will conquer.
You'll conquer. The Greek is cool too. Et tuto Nike. Nike means victory in everything,
Tuto is you, correct? Probably. And
yeah,
a tuto and you, a tuto.
Victory.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Something like
that.
So
it's called labarum, and the LABR, LABARUM is an acronym for Latin. It just says Legionis Aquila, the eagle of the legion. Antiquam Byzantium Roma urbe mutatit. The eagle of the legions turned ancient Byzantium into the city of Rome. So that's the label, right? The labarum. Across, when you see the banner, the Romans carrying that banner, the labarum is in front of Constantine. That's what it stood for. That he had turned Byzantium into.
Well, and many say even to this day, Rome still rules the world. Along with the if you look at world powers and the crown of England, Frank, I think it's the crown is the owner of most of the world's real estate, if I'm not mistaken. Either the England or the Vatican, probably the Vatican, actually.
You know what blew my mind? When I found out that the Queen of England at the time,
she's broke.
She owned the entire coast of England. Without her real estate holdings, the entire coast, every beach around England.
Yeah. She has no money.
I said, that's mind-boggling, isn't it?
And she's broke. They want us to believe she has no money. She's broke. It's like, oh right, sure.
Well, she's gone.
Yeah. Well, now, the king is bankrupt, so who knows? But okay. Well, look, I don't know if we're gonna do any music. Maybe, we got 3 more shows and we'll crank up the karaoke. There's so much more we could add to things here. We do have to call it a day. Roger, I guess Roger, Bruce, then back to Robert, and I think it's time to put this one to bed. So, Mr. Roger Hansen out of West Frankfort, Illinois. Thanks for syndicating and simulcasting here us again tonight. I believe Alan via I think it's Fort Collins, Colorado. Finally got that one right. Has been doing a lot of great work with his HomeNetwork.tv project, and he joined us live actually last night himself. Robert, you'll be interested and hopefully happy to hear. So that was
great.
Yeah, it was a wonderful time all around. Roger, thanks so much. You're carrying our feed through Rumble, I guess, and what other outlets?
Oh, I've been doing it on Rumble. As I started doing Kick, and now I'm doing Rumble, Kick, and X for it.
Oh,
I'm not streaming right now. I'll be doing this one tomorrow whenever I wake up.
Okay, good stuff. Yeah, Kick. We're in real hot competition, serious competition with all the young ladies and their scantily clad
Yeah, it's pretty rough
apparel.
competition over there because like everybody and anybody who's into that kind of stuff goes there. So it's I don't know. I mean, I'll try it out, but I'm not sure how good it's going to be, you know, because like you said, you got the young ladies out there who are doing the bikinis and stuff like that. So that's pretty hard competition for, you know, somebody who's trying to stream just regular stuff. So
Right.
I don't know.
Isn't it amazing to think, though, if more people such as ourselves were to emulate what we've laid out here, because this is a unique and we're emphasizing revolutionary format and approach unlike anybody else. Look around. Who else is doing this? Yes, people are engaged in their communities, and that's great. We want to hear more about it, though. And East Idaho News, I got to give them credit. They've been doing a lot of great work over the years, and we've been featuring some of their news clips. I guess, should try to bring a few more on board with the few shows that we have left here. We're not going to bother calling up Robert or Bruce tomorrow night, so don't worry about that, guys. You can take a break, but we might be trying to contact you for our big finale, Christmas Eve. Actually, Christmas evening, you might expect, hopefully can expect a call. We'll be reaching out to as many of our contacts here as possible. But yeah,
later on, I'd like to get more into this thing. They brought up a good topic here with the sacred mushroom thing.
Yes, sure.
The book back when it first came out was very controversial, and the guy who wrote it got a lot of crap from it. But he brought up really, really good points that I think a lot of people today would find interesting, because I posted some of it in there. But like the whole connection between Christianity and paganism too is there. It's just he was really bad about cross-referencing against over other religions and time periods, and he wasn't really good at it in the book. But if he would have structured the book a little bit better, I think it would have been a bigger hit than what it was.
Well, you realize that John M. Allegro was he was the only non-Vatican affiliated scholar involved in translating the Dead Sea Scrolls?
Yeah. Well, even that, I mean, he's made some comments on the Dead Sea Scrolls too.
Well, he was he was a central player. He, like I said, he was one of the only main active hands-on scholars involved in the translation project that was not affiliated or had any ties to the Vatican.
Well, if you take a look at the Eucharist, okay, and then you take a look at fertility rights and like sexual rights and marriage and stuff like that, you can see a lot of things going on.
Sure, of course.
You know, and he was able to really bring that out. And like Melchizedek, I keep having a hard time saying his name.
Melchizedek?
Yeah, no, he was an important player in it too, because like you guys were talking about the bread and the wine
sacrament,
and this all goes back to Melchizedek with with that. And then you have Aaron, who also was told to go out and gather manna with a jar.
Wow.
And this all culminates in pagan belief systems. You know what I mean? So that's something right there that they really hit big on. That's without even discussing all the other stuff. It's just some really, really good topics. I think that's something that we should get into some other time too.
All right. Absolutely. You know what? We're going to crank up something here to kind of really lift people's spirits, hopefully in a big way. We got $50 that we're going to be pledging in support of our Facebook friend, someone who reached out to us. you know, we're pretty much satisfied and happy with the email that they sent us. That's all we really ask, that people do this and provide an outline of their plight, situation, and details, and we can then more widely share with the listening public what their experience ground level via North Carolina. So Jessica Renee and her kids, who recently lost their uncle, find themselves in a really tough spot. You know, let's do what we can to lift their spirits, folks. $50 in support of their, you know, Christmas, you know, basically relief and outreach, and challenging all of our listeners to meet or beat that amount, or reach out to friends. Reach out to friends, people you might have with your social media contact network who can make their way to North Carolina. Have you heard of that? Has anybody heard of this city of Mebane? Mebane. Of course, Bane, not really me Bane. You know, if you look at the yeesh, that's probably not the best. Maybe you want to relocate, find a community with a more positive, you know, sounding tone. But make of that what you will. Did anyone have any North Carolina contacts or connections they can speak to?
Not anymore.
That's unfortunate.
Not
Well, I'll just
me.
help to get the word out.
No, I did a quick search on it, and it's between Greensboro and Durham.
Oh,
Raleigh.
okay. All right. Well, we're going to crank up a little bit of rock and roll here, just to lift people's spirits, if we can manage that. Bring it onto the screen here. Run, Rudolph, Run, courtesy of, that's an old Chuck Berry standard. Let's see where we can go with this one, folks. And I think the key is more or less appropriate. Well, that's not what we're looking for. This is why we always ask for, always on the hunt, rather, for a qualified tech producer. Okay, let's get that volume turned up and see what we can do rock and roll wise here today.
Thank you very much.
All right, Bruce, happy sailing, my friend. You know the mastermind. Run, run, Rudolph, right over, don't you fall behind. Run, run, Rudolph, Santa's gotta make it today. Santa, make him hurry, don't take the freeway. Run, run, Rudolph, 'cause I'm moving like a merry-go-round. The Santa to a boy, child, what have you been longing for? All I want at Christmas is a rock and roll electric guitar. Then away went Rudolph, whizzing like a shooting star. Run, run, Rudolph, Santa gotta make it to town. Santa, make him hurry, tell him he can take the freeway down. Run, run, Rudolph, reeling like a merry-go-round. Guitar solo. Run, run, Rudolph, Santa gotta make it to town. Santa, make him hurry, tell him he can take the freeway down. Run, run, Rudolph, reeling like a merry-go-round. So Santa to a girl child, what a please to get. A little baby doll that can cry, sleep, drink, and wet. Then away went Rudolph, whizzing like a saber jet. Run, run, Rudolph, Santa gotta make it to town. Santa make him hurry, tell him he can take the freeway down. Run, run, Rudolph, beating like a merry-go-round. Chuck Berry rock and roll. Just what the doctor ordered. Morrison's working hard to fix sign after storm. Da-da. Yeah, that might be a good idea there, Metro Morrison's. So hopefully our rendition of Run Run Rudolph didn't come across as overly moronic. We will be back here tomorrow at the same time, of course, 1 p.m. here via the Seoul time zone, 11 o'clock in the east of the Americas, New York, Miami, Montreal, and the like, the West Coast, LA, Vancouver, Seattle, Baja, 8 p.m. So great to have everybody on board. Robert Morningstar here still on board with us. I'm not sure want to join us for a quick just post-show recap, a few moments or not. A quick reminder, of course, Robert.Morningstar at Substack.com, I believe is simply what.
No dot. Robert Morningstar.
Geez, I thought there was a dot. I know. Okay, just Robert Morningstar at Substack.com. Either way, we got your details, and always happy to have you on board, Robert. You're just.
Thanks. It's a pleasure. We've worked together now for practically a year as co-hosts, and it's a very good energy, good synergy. So I appreciate it, and I want to say happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah to everyone listening.
Mm-hmm.
And,
sure. Whatever positive energy we can send out there to lift people's spirits. God knows the world needs it. So all too many people this time finding themselves in the depths of despair. And we're going to offer our pirate's might in a way that we can hopefully make a little bit of a difference in people's lives and encourage others to follow suit. You can do it too if it's within your means. Do consider sponsoring someone this year in a positive way. So, having said that, on behalf of Captain Long John Sinclair and all the rest of the crew here down in Port Harbor, I'm your host as always, the Robin Hood's Chief Communications Officer. Looking forward to our next meeting here via these high, often all too intrepid digital seas. Pirate One Radio at protonmail.com is our email address. Really critical for you to take note of if you'd like to be in touch with us. Pirate the numeral one radio at protonmail.com. Big shout out to Janan there via Manhattan as well too, Robert. Let's not forget about her. Whether she's asleep or not, I have no idea, but she's typically on board in one form or another. So good stuff. There's a shot of Lyndon Baines Johnson. My God, yeah, jeez. USS Liberty, just watching the vet who appeared on the Candace Owens show recently present his version of events, and justice has yet to come to the victims of the USS Liberty. We're doing all we can, of course, to see to it that history does not forget what the powers that be essentially have worked to suppress and cover up. So, but there is a light. Forget your perfect offering. Ring them bells, as Leonard Cohen reminded us. There is a light, crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. So, via the pirate's might, light will be brought to the world that would otherwise never appear. All the best, everyone. Look forward to seeing you again soon. Merry Christmas. And as always, of course, happy sailing. Good night.
Looking to lend a little hand this holiday season? Do your part in helping out those in need. You might want to consider getting involved on some level with Operation Secret Santa. Here's a quick overview. Formally kicking off on December 15th, Operation Secret Santa, that's hashtag OSS, is a world grassroots, strictly people-driven, Christmas charity, telethon-styled internet campaign. Referral marketing, or what's otherwise known as word of mouth, drives the project's big red sleigh, with all money, donations, and the like going directly to the needy who are selectively sponsored. The four main categories of participants we're looking for include 1. Live streaming web show hosts, speakers, producers, and performers. 2. Operator matchmaking elves, making their lists and checking them twice. 3. Secret Santa sponsors. And 4. People in any place around the world living in need, worthy of a little Christmas hand up. This year's organizers are presently working on mobilizing and building upon last year's preliminary success, with donation levels capped at a suggested price value limit of $1,000. If you've any further questions, be sure to drop by WPRPN.com or check out our groups on both Facebook and Minds.com via a keyword search of simply Operation Secret Santa, hashtag OSS.